Welcome to the huddle, man. How you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Man, I finally got a basketball player on the pod, so you're the first one. So trying to get you on. This podcast. I'm trying to get real dogs, people I know that grew up in the city. People I know that their story's never gonna get heard unless it comes from me. So why not? I had to get my dog D Boone on here, man. So the first thing I want to ask you, do you remember when we played against Breck and I went up for that layup? What happened after that?
Man, I just remember someone tried to push you, and we were such good friends at the time, and we're still friends now. But I'm just that type of friend that's a loyal friend, that when someone shows their genuine true colors, and I rock with that. So you were my dog, man, and we've been dogs since, man, decades. So I had to look out for my friend in that instance, and protect my friend. So I've always been raised on loyalty. So yeah.
So what did you do though? You're not saying what you did.
Man,
Tell me what you did.
I came in and pushed the dude out the way, like move, get out the way, man. Like, you know.
Hey, bro. So get some context in the story. We were playing against Breck sophomore year JV. They were trash. We was whooping them. But it was this dude on their team. I don't even know his name. He was talking crazy the whole game. And like I used to always steal the ball like from people. That was my thing. So I stole the ball from him. I was going up for a left. He pushed me so hard, dude. I almost flew into the wall. And like when you fall and I looked up. I just see D Boone coming out of nowhere, pushing dude. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's my dog right there. You the only one that came to rescue me. That was crazy. So yeah, we was already locked in, but I knew right there. I was like, yeah, that's my dog. So man, let's get into it, man. I want to just talk about like where you grew up. Like, so originally, like where you from? Man? Like where you grew up, man. Let's talk about that.
So a little backstory. I was originally born in Los Angeles, California, raised in Southside Minneapolis. My dad's a Southsider, so we moved to Minneapolis because it was just a great opportunity for us to get out of California, but then also be in a great environment in Minnesota. So yeah, I was raised Southside, Minnesota, Minneapolis, but strategically south of the Minnehaha Creek, just because of my dad moving back. He knew that there was nothing really good in his old neighborhood, which is the Central neighborhood, which is in the 30s, where
That's the
Sabathie,
hood.
yeah,
That's where
Sabathie,
the blood is.
yeah, Sabathie Community Center. That was his neighborhood growing up. It wasn't like that for him when he was growing up, but he knew moving back with his family still being there that us being south of the Minnehaha Creek was the best place for us to be, for us to lay roots. So,
So you originally was born in California. What city in California? And
Ladera
how long was you there?
wasn't there very long. It was one of those things. My parents met out there for jobs, and they met through a mutual friend, and then had me. Well, it was only there less than a year. It was 8 months. So really, I was really in Minnesota, raised there, and but born in California.
So let's talk about that. Growing up in the we call it in Minnesota, we call it the cities, Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the cities. And you're on the south side. The cities is split up between north and south. So let's talk about that. How was it growing up in the south side? I'm a north sider, so my
Yeah.
perspective is different from the south side. So I want to know what's your perspective on the south side? Like what was your experience growing up over there?
Growing up over south was great, man. I mean, the area that I lived in, it was funny. We lived in an affluent area, but my house that I grew up, the physical house was tiny. So my parents did a good job of like getting us in a good environment, but then building up our house to where it's at now. My parents still live there, which is crazy, but it's a great neighborhood. It's similar to, if you were to be over north, it'd be similar to Theodore Worth, Henry area. It'd be similar to that. But overall, no, the environment is great. I was entrenched in a lot of different affluent groups. I mean, I would had, Somali friends, I had Hispanic friends, black friends, white friends. So my parents did a really good job of kind of getting me intermixed within different cultures so I could learn, not only about my culture, but then learn about others and have a sense of community. So,
Was there any like funny things you saw on the south side growing up? I know like obviously I've been to your crib, like I know what the
yeah.
community looked like, and I know like you got a nice family, and like being black over there, I know that was kind of like different. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not as urban as you used to, but just like talk about that. Was there anything like crazy you saw that was like out of the norm, or was it just naturally normal for you
I was
just
just
to be over
kind
there?
of naturally normal, but also too, like, only being one of the only black families over there, it was kind of like, you had to be on your P's and Q's. You had to carry yourself in a certain way. And my parents did a really good job of being honest about, being respectful and showing manners because you never know what could happen being over there. We always got head turns and different things. Just being in a school with predominantly white kids, it was interesting. But then I also had, once middle school hit, it was a little bit different. So it was. We can get in that story.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. So, grow up, two-parent household, dope. Obviously, I love your parents. This is your pod, but let's talk about your dad real quick, man. Like, he's a legend.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about it. He went Division 1 out of high school.
Yeah. So, real
So,
backstory about my dad. He grew up. So my family is last name Boone. Boone's basketball Boone's is what we're known for in Minneapolis. My dad grew up in went to Central High School in Minneapolis, which is no longer. I think it closed in the '80s. It would be there was two or three schools that closed within Minneapolis. And Central was one of them. Central was like one of the schools that it was middle class black family, predominantly middle class black people that lived in the area. It was the old, Sabathian area. It was very upbringing, uplifting. So my dad was, man, he was the guy. Sophomore year, the coach Al Nunes, who is a legend at the Gophers, he was the coach at Central High School. So he kind of saw my dad's group, and my dad was the ringleader as far as being the best ones on the team. He played varsity because they had you don't start high school until 10th grade. So he played on the
oh, wow.
varsity junior. He played his junior and senior year, and then by the time he was a senior, he was all state and runner up for Mr. Basketball behind Kevin McHale. So then he ended up going to University of Missouri, playing there for 2 years. So the politics of Division 1 basketball kind of, took him for a surprise. And so he ended up transferring home. He had some family issues as well. So he ended up transferring home, sitting for a year, and then he finished his career, his 2 years eligibility at Augsburg, which he's in the Hall of Fame. And then after that, he had an opportunity. He got drafted in the NBA. Back then there was no contracts like that. So he was a late second round pick to come out of Augsburg, a really small school. That was almost never unheard of. And he was All
Right.
American. I think he averaged around 27 points a game, 28 points a game at Augsburg. So he's in the Hall of Fame over there for his achievements.
Like, with no 3-point
Right.
line.
No, no 3-point line at all. So it's really three the hard way if you get them 3 points. So
So growing up, like obviously, I feel like, would you say basketball was like something that you was like destined to do? Was it heavily influenced on you, or was it something like you was like, all right, I want to do that? Because I always ask people like, who put the ball in your hands? Obviously, your pops is a legendary hooper, but that's not always the case. Some people got to find their own way. So let's talk about that. Like, what influenced you to play besides like your family dynamics? You know what I'm saying?
well, I mean, honestly, like, yeah, it wasn't a family dynamic. My pops was never a pushy type of guy. He was always laid back. But we did go, and this was one of my favorite things growing up. We went to a lot of high school games. Like we went to a lot. Like my cousin Adam Boone, who was Mr. Basketball in the state of Minnesota in the class of 2000. He was coming up, and so we used to always. He went to Washburn High School. He played varsity as an eighth grader, ninth grade, and 10th grade. And my uncle was the head coach. So we went to a lot of games. And so that just kind of got me excited about wanting to hoop and do all of those things. And then even when I was a baby, my uncle coached at Washburn, and they won the first state championship in I believe it was '94. And so basketball has
Mm.
always been in my family. Just seeing the trophies that my dad had, and he calls it the shrine. It's downstairs in our basement. He has so many trophies, even from my trophies when I played from stuff because he coached my teams growing up. And so I was just really excited to play basketball. I mean, it started in kindergarten for me, so that I just grew up going to games all the time, and still kind of to this day go to some games. So,
Yeah. So when you first started playing, did you play like for park board, or did you play like any rec? What did you do?
oh yeah, for sure. So I started in Southside, the area in Washburn. Pearl Park is the park. Like that's the neighborhood I grew up in, and during that time, there was only started in kindergarten, and we went the short way. So I started off, I was excited, super excited to get my shoes, all of that. So we went to Shortway, my dad coached, and, you know, I remember one time specifically, my mom always talks about it. I started dribbling ball up the court. I'm like, one, one. We didn't have no plays at that time. So I just been watching a lot of basketball on TV. And I know people, point guards, when they're bringing the ball up the floor, they call some type of play. So, grew up playing parkboard played at Pearl from kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. So,
Okay, then after that, is that when Southside came about?
no, so actually before that, I was actually thinking about this morning. There was this team my third grade that I played up my third grade year. I played fourth grade, and I played for this team called it was around Our Lady of Peace, which is a Catholic school. We practiced out of there, but we had it was a fourth grade team, and essentially it had cats like I don't know if you know the name Tyler Brado, Rashid Hagman was on. That's when I first met Rashid. In his situation being over there on the South Side, so we played. I played a spring season with them. It was my fourth grade year. And so
Yep.
it was that year. And then the following season, I played. My dad started a team with the Southside Shepherds. I don't know, you know Noah Shepherd, his dad.
Yep. I
We
know
started a
Noah.
team with the Minnesota Magic. We were Magic. It wasn't the elite Magic Gold. It was one of the many Magic teams during that time. But we started a team then, and it just kind of just skyrocketed from there.
Okay. Okay. So you said you played with Rasheed Hagman and Tyler Brito. Tyler Brito went to Holy Angels,
Yeah,
right?
he played as an eighth grader. He played at Washburns because like your feeder school,
In the
you
six.
could play high school when you're in eighth grade. You could play high school, but it has to be for your neighborhood team. So he played in eighth grade for Washburn for that year, and then he went to Holy Angels after that. And then Rashid, I actually played. A little backstory. I played the Gym Rat team. We called them Minneapolis Gym Rats or something like that. My first team, and then we played on the Magic together, and then we started Southside after that. So Southside for me started fifth grade. That's
Fifth
when my
grade.
dad and Bill Shepard started that program because it started because the coach at the time at Washburn, I believe it was Jason Moore, he didn't want a feeder program for whatever reason because the Jim Demick, who was the coach previous to John Moore, had took the Washburn traveling name with him to Richfield. So there was no Washburn traveling, and Jason Moore didn't want it. So my dad was like, this is this opportunity to build something in the community because my dad's a big community guy. That could start traveling basketball where we can get some exposure for kids in South Minneapolis to go to different suburbs. So it started. Southside started in. I played my grade at the time at fifth grade. So
Okay. Yeah, so all right. So let's talk about Southside where we met. So let's talk about that seventh grade Southside team. So Minneapolis Southside. So it's crazy. A backstory about myself. Um, I played for the Midtown Kings,
Mhm.
and I had a few players that you knew, like Tone, Freddie. You know, they used to always talk about Southside this, Southside that. I'm looking like, man, who is Southside? They used to tell me about like you know, Evan,
Yep.
Mike. They used to call him Mike Stretch.
Yep.
I'm like, man, who is these dudes? So like, I remember like that in seventh grade. That's when I first started playing basketball, like organized. You know what I'm saying? I was a late bloomer.
Yep.
But anywho, just talk about that team and like how much y'all had some dogs on that team. So just talk about that team. I knew all y'all grew up together.
Yeah.
So just let's talk about
So
that.
so really, and side note, don't discredit yourself, bro. You were a dog when you started. It was tough starting guarding that spin move that you used to have. That was tough when we played y'all.
Hey,
But to start off in
I
fifth
appreciate it.
grade, we just took my dad just took a bunch of the park guys at Pearl, guys like Jalen Jaspers, Evan. He was McCray Park, but he ended up meeting my dad ended up meeting his dad, and we just fused the team. So there was guys like Jalen Jaspers, Bryce Hawkins, Evan Williams, Mike Stretch, and then Jalen Williams as well, Evan Warren. So we were just a bunch of just kids from around like the South area. Bryce was a Richfield kid, but he played at Pearl, and so that's originally where he came from. And so he just took a bunch of the talented park guys and we're like, well, let's make a team and let's see what we got. And it's crazy because the very first tournament that we played in fifth grade, my dad did this purposely to humble us. We played in a tournament. I want to say it was at Concordia, St. Paul. Yeah, Concordia, St. Paul, because they had like four courts. And he put us in the top division where all the all the top teams were. Boy, we got smoked every game. Every game. We lost. We went 0-3 and we lost every game by 20. And that was more to like humble us to let us know that hey, we're not what we think we are. And it was crazy because
Right.
I had some parents coming up to my dad saying, "What are you doing? You don't know what you're doing." All of that stuff. But then the very next tournament, we had got some more practices in. We moved down to Division 2, and we went to the championship game, which was crazy. We lost in the championship by like one or something. And so, it was a way to get exposure and traveling outside of Minneapolis and get some competition that we had never experienced before. Because a lot of those suburban boys, and all-star teams, they all, for the most part, play together. So
Right.
we're brand new, fresh into this, and fifth grade. So then transition to sixth grade, we started getting better and better. And by the time we played y'all in seventh grade, we kind of had it, molded a little bit. Actually, I believe we played y'all in sixth grade. I believe sixth or seventh grade, one of them. But
Well, when we played. I was in seventh grade,
yeah,
and I remember we played in some St. Paul gym. I don't know what it was.
yeah,
It was
bro, I
like
think
some.
it was the Concordia rubber courts because that's where,
Was it? Yeah,
yeah,
because it was like some ugly court, but we was like on the side.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. So let's talk about that. Bump that. That was our first meeting. So I'm looking like, and obviously we see each other in passing
yeah,
because we
for sure,
play a gang of tournaments. So I'm looking like, okay, cool, cool. And, and I always respect y'all because I'm looking like, them dudes is nice.
yeah,
But you know me, the north side of me, I'm like, I'm not going.
yeah,
Bruh, we got the plan, y'all. I was like, oh, yeah, they're tough. You're coming down left hand. And Evan, stupid
yeah,
fast. Jalen dribbling 1,000 miles per hour. Then Bryce was just unstoppable. And then you got Jalen Williams. He could do it all. Man, y'all team was loaded. But, we had our guys, too.
yeah.
But I do remember, though, can nobody stop my spin move?
Not at
Remember,
all.
what's the dude the dude that went to Chaska, his last name
Anthony.
was Weber. They was like, yeah, that's Chris Weber nephew. I said, I don't care
Yeah,
who nephew. I mean, cousin nephew. I was going to work on dude. I ain't care. I don't care if you see this, but buddy, I was working you. But nah. But even that game, bro, like after the game, y'all ended up beating us, obviously. But after that, I feel like we were locked. Everybody was locked in because we all. I feel like it was tension at first for some odd
I'll tell
reason,
you why.
and and then we was cool after
Yeah.
that. I feel like because we was cool. Like, well, tell me why. Yeah, tell me why it
I
was
remember
tension.
that game specifically because man, so from Tone and Freddie played for Southside, right? And Freddie was our starting point guard. Like that
Okay.
was our starting point guard because he was playing up with us and he was nice. Like he played his older brother played with me when I was at through Pearl.
I don't mean to cut you off, but people really don't know how cold Freddie
Oh,
was. Like throughout, even in high
yeah.
school, they don't even know. Like that's the crazy part. I'm glad you said that, but go ahead. My fault.
Yeah, so there was some y'all's coach was a good dude, but at the time, like there was tension between your coach at the time, Al Harris, coached with us for a little bit with Southside. Then he took some guys over and went to Midtown Kings. Me with my dad running the program, there was smoke on site. You know what I'm saying? So I came in that game, I'm about to give y'all 30. I think I ended up
Yeah,
having like 20, but
you busted. Oh God,
yeah,
you did.
I played, that saying at for Wichita State, play angry. I used to always play angry. So it was just one of those things. Like I was being ultra aggressive to kind of shove it down Al's throat because what he did. My dad is not my dad is a good dude, and so he tries to do right by everybody. So Al's a good dude. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I felt some type of way, so I wanted to give y'all 30 that game. So yeah, that's what really was.
I feel it, bro. Hey, it is what it is. And so even like growing like even with the AAU circuit, we was playing teams like TC Forest. They had Muhammad, Aaron, and then all them Osseo teams, the Hustlers,
MDB.
like MDB, Bernard. Shout out to Bernard. Like every week. Talk about that. Like we're finally getting a recognition. Like now, the last like 5 or 6 years, maybe. But talk about how good some of these dudes was back then, and like we saw it back then, but like now, like it's starting to come to light. But we already had dogs. We just wasn't getting no recognition. So like I said, we had Bernard, we had Jordan, Lewis, Marcus. Y'all was dope. Man, we had dudes like it was crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember. So we'll start out with Jordan Hughes, and like I remember playing for Southside. I think it was sixth grade. We went up to Farview and had a game against them. It was like a little like 2 game like little super saver type thing. this man jumped center at 6th grade and was jumping over everybody. And I'm like, whoa. And I think Lewis was on the Hustlers at that time. I forgot what team, but no, there was a lot of dudes. You had Sean Trail playing. I saw him through Parkboard when I played for Pearl. He played for North Commons, and we played a tournament over at Logan Park in Northeast.
Mhm.
That's when I first saw Sean Trail. Then you had dudes like um, even Parker Hines was nice during that time. Out in the suburbs at
Parker,
Eastview, and then you had dudes like I'm trying to think, you know, Marvin Singleton was really good, class younger.
shout out to Marvin.
Yeah, and you had, guys like, Joe Coleman was good. He actually is a Southsider. He's not a Hopkins guy. He was a Southsider. He played in our program with Southside. And we had dudes like, Jonah Travis played for a little bit. And I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, so there was a lot of people that were really good in the city. And during that time, I think the thing that was most unique about our time at AAU is it was just the beginning of AAU. So you really
Right.
had to be good to be on the good teams. You didn't just have 3 or 4 teams of each program. And our program expanded, but there was really our grade, it was really only our team. So it was like one of those things where it was growing little by little, but um just the competition alone, especially in the winter season, was really good. Spring was like a whole different beast because you had kids playing, jumping teams and playing on, from not the area. We kept our local guys, our same guys, throughout the whole time, our community teams. So that's part of the reason why, going to nationals in 7th grade, going to Memphis, we didn't play in the high league because we didn't get kids from all over. We are a community team. So us playing in Division 1, I remember one time that time, remember you guys went out to nationals as well in Memphis.
Yep.
Looking at some of them kids at Division 1, there was a
Bro.
team from Mississippi that legit. I think the smallest guy they had was 6'2" in 7th grade.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, so we both made it to nationals. It was like I think it was we were the only two teams from
Yeah,
Minnesota, and we played Division 2. So back then it was Division 1, Division 2. We were a Division 2 team at the time,
yeah,
and I remember, bro, vividly. Like we'd go play a game, we'd go look at the bracket and see what y'all
yeah, for
did.
sure.
I know y'all was doing the same thing for us
Yeah,
because I'm like, man, I want them to win. Like, what if we meet up in the
yeah,
nationals? So like this, even talking about that, bro, like you said, bro, kids was dunking, bro. Like the St. Louis Eagles was there,
yeah,
like all that. I'm pretty sure like we ran into like Bradley Bill, Fred Van Fleet, all them guys. Like I'm sure we seen them at some point, like these dudes in our class, but they were probably playing Division 1.
yeah.
But at the same time, like AAU, it wasn't that many national tournaments at that time.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
rightfully so.
back to your point.
Rightfully so. I just remember too. The only out of state tournament that we went to was, I think you guys went to it too, was Menominee, and that was like an hour
Yeah,
away, hour or so away, and it was some good teams. I remember. I think 7th or 8th grade we played this team from Milwaukee called the Milwaukee Spartans, and they had Vander Blue who went to Marquette, who was really good, and then they had this other dude named Jerome. Forgot his last name. He ended up playing at Tennessee and Marquette. So I mean, that competition alone was really really good. So it was just a little taste because it was in the middle of Wisconsin, but they were drawn from Milwaukee, Chicago, all those types of places. So it was a really good time to like get into it because again, you had to be really good to be on those teams. You couldn't just be a bum and be not good to be on those teams. It was one team for almost 1 or 2 teams for the whole area.
yeah, that was Nationals was dope, man. So, boom, we get back. You get there, 8th grade year. Your team was dope again. So at this point, AAU season is over with. What what was your decision to go? How did you pick your high school? Because you a Southsider, you're close to Washburn, you got South Roosevelt, you got all them Southside schools. What was the ultimate decision on how you got to your
So overall,
high
it
school?
was a bucket. Like A, I wanted to play with my guys who I've been playing with since 5th grade. B, I wanted the education, and C, I wanted the full high school experience as far as like spirit within the school, good community, all of that. So at the time, no knock on Washburn. Washburn, my uncle coached there. But at the time, Washburn just didn't fit one of those buckets for me. And the kids that I went to had played ball with, so that was out of the mix. My 8th grade year, during some time, my dad coached both us and at Holy Angels. Academy of Holy Angels. So that was in the mix because that actually tried out for that team as an eighth grader, made the team, but I couldn't play because I didn't go to their feeder school, Blessed Trinity. So I actually was
Mm.
gonna play ninth grade. But it's funny because my dad ended up having us play in ninth grade tournaments that year, eighth grade year. So that was in the mix. It was Holy Angels, um, DeLaSalle, because really how DeLaSalle came in the mix is Evan's sister went to DeLaSalle, and so we all went to a game against Henry. Henry had Al Nolan, Robert Eppinger, Ross Foreman. I'm trying to think who else. I think Bear was there at that
Tim
time.
Saxon.
Yeah, Tim
Tim
Saxon. They
Saxon.
had a nice team, but then De La Salle was loaded
Um,
too. They had Cam, Rundles, Jamar, Joe Scott, Teddy Archer, and they had the dog on the sidelines, Dave Thorson. So, and then you also too had the
mhm.
other dog on the sidelines with for Henry, in
Larry
yeah,
McKenzie.
Larry McKenzie. Sorry, I drew a blank. Yeah, Larry McKenzie. So it was just a good atmosphere, and so after leaving that game with it was me, Jalen, Bryce, Evan. We all went to that game, and we had to stand. We had to wait a long time to get in that game. Then when we were in there, it was standing room only. So we looked at each other like, "Yeah, we want to go here," because Evan's sister was already there, and it was kind of like we were all a package deal. And so those schools were South was in the mix too, and Southwest was in the mix, but those were all. It was really between De La Salle and Holy Angels, and it really just came down to De La Salle because all my boys were there. It was a good community, good education, and for being a private school, it's predominantly black. So that's a key thing right there, and very rare at the time. So yeah, so that's how we all decided to go to De La Salle as a package deal. So
My story to do so is kind of crazy
yeah.
as well, but we ain't gonna talk about mine. But I swear to God, I fought my grandma to go to DeLaSalle. So once, like, this was the kicker when we went to that freshman like orientation party, and I seen all y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, it was lit. It was lit. I was like, "You're going here?" I seen. I'm like, "You going here?" Oh, I knew it was gonna be up, bro. Like I already knew. I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna win everything." Basketball, football. I already knew because I'm like, I knew how y'all was in basketball, and I knew how Evan was in football
Yeah.
because we played against McCray. So I'm like, man, and that I ain't gonna lie, that was like I was very excited to go to do this. So after that, once I seen all y'all dudes, I was like, yeah, we're gonna be nice. So talk about that, man. You get the DSL. How's that?
Hit the dealers out.
Your
Oh,
freshman year.
shout out to Muhammad Chroma. I forgot about him too. A beast on
Yeah.
the basketball court and also football field for sure. He was a good dude. He was a really good friend of mine at D. But getting to De La Salle, it was a a new atmosphere. First of all, I actually played football too growing up, so I forgot that little backstory. I played for Pearl as well. I think I started in fourth grade, and then played all the way up. Didn't play eighth grade year because I had a strain in my left arm, so I just did some tennis on the side just to keep my footwork right. But no, De La Salle getting there, I was excited. Like I was excited to be there. It was a great school. I knew the academic rigor was going to be a challenge. But from the sports side, I just had a feeling we were going to be really good in almost every sport. But it started with football. And it's funny because I tell the story about our friendship to this day is pulled up for the very first practice at football. My dad and I pulled up. Like we see you sitting outside on the steps. We're like, oh, this dude going here because we had a negative connotation, because you were associated with Midtown, and we didn't know. And so I just remember after that first practice, you came home with us, and then we've been friends ever since. Went to the first football game at BC, and that was super
Mm-hmm.
super cool because it was a lot. That's how we became lifelong friends, and I'm super grateful for you, bro. Like really am. But overall,
All
De La
right.
Salle, man, I was super excited just because it checked all the boxes as far as um, having fun off the field and out of the classroom, but then also taking seriously like the academics. So it was a new change for sure, especially being in a private school too, because I had been going to public school my whole life. So.
Yeah. So we played freshman football together, and we just killed
Or
everybody
everybody else.
every game. We was so good, bro. Like, and I be telling people, I'm like, bro, we had legit like 6 foot receivers in
Hmm.
freshman year. Like, it was you and Jalen, and then we had three-headed monster, me, Walter, Evan. Our defense, we had Muhammad. It was ridiculous, bro. Like that class alone, like if everybody would have stayed, bro, people don't understand that. Like everybody would have stayed that was at even Jalen Williams for basketball. Bryce as well. Like, bro, if everybody would this day, but we'll get into that. But we were loaded. Like we the only game that was close was St. Croix Lutheran.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the only game that was
And
close, but we blew everybody else out.
And the crazy part about the St. Croix Luther is we always came back on them. We would get down, but we would always come back. But I think that freshman
Yep.
year was fun. It was kicked everything off, but we had great coaches. I think that's what started. Coach Grant, shout out to you. Coach Bryce,
Yep.
shout out to
Something
you.
like that.
Coach Rob, shout out to you as well. You guys really kicked our butts in practice, but you saw the byproduct of the games where we just killing everybody because we had been through a lot in practice. Like, I remember running more than the varsity team, doing sand work after in the weight room, doing pull ups and lifting and stuff like that. Pull outs to you tap out for the most part, burnouts, but
Yeah.
all that.
So
Go ahead,
hold on. Yeah. So when you talking about the pull-ups, Bryce used to punch us in our
bro.
stomach.
It's crazy.
Coach Bryce used to really like he ain't punch us, but he used to like smack us hard on our chest and our stomach while we doing pull ups. But at the time, I'm looking like he's tripping, but like he was making us mentally tough. But we was getting out there. But we were the type of kids that we received that we needed that. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? It's funny. People don't know Coach Bryce. You'll make a good play. He'd be like, "That ain't shit. Like go
Yeah,
do it again. You supposed to do that." But like he say way more choice words. But this I ain't gonna get into all that. But yeah, shout out to Coach Bryce, man. Coach Grant, Coach Rob, man, y'all really got us together. So yeah, football, ran the table. You make it on JV as a freshman.
yeah.
So how was that experience?
So a little backstory, about that. The summer going into eighth grade and going to ninth grade. Like I said, we were a package deal, right? So all of us showed up to Thorson's workouts in the summer. So we already built that rapport with him as far as our work ethic and wanting to get better and wanting to show like, hey, we want to kind of carry the torch after you won that state championship with Cam and Jamar, because that was their senior year and we were coming in as freshmen. You already had Royce White, a legend in himself, who was there. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there. You had Cedric McBounds as well. That was really good, and Jeremy Randall. So you had some good returners, but we wanted to show Thorson that you got some young guys that are hungry, and so we went to, I think it was 2-3 times a week. We would go up in the summer and do shooting workouts, ball handling. We went to his camp, and so that was kind of precursor to let Thorson know, like, hey, like we're here and we want to keep DeLaSalle very, very relevant for the years to come. So yeah, make freshmen, and it was a good experience. I learned a lot. I mean, not freshman, JV. Played that twice, but I had a good experience. I had
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, so I had Coach Shilgan. He was a good coach, very funny guy. But I think he had it good because he had some guys that were coached well. So he had dudes like Evan, myself, Bryce played a little bit, but those guys ended up playing varsity as freshmen. So you had some good IQ guys. You had Brian Goss, Tyler Heaps, dudes like that have already played for you. But then you're adding guys that have high IQ that are a little bit younger. It was a blessing to make JV as a freshman. I'm very fortunate to make that. I was a little nervous getting in there because everything was new, but once I settled in, I started doing. I had a, I would say I had an average freshman year. Just getting acclimated to everything being new, and then I worked on my game, but I didn't work on it as much as I did the later years. So
All right, so sophomore year come. You made JV again. And tell me how you was feeling when you made JV again.
I'm not gonna lie, I felt some type of way, mainly because I wanted to be on the
Nah,
varsity.
hold on, bro. You didn't feel no type of way. You was pissed. You were pissed
I
off,
was mad,
bro.
man. Like I said, I was the type of player to play angry, So, but also too, I look back and on retrospect, I didn't work on my game as much as I should have. I should have, and I didn't understand outside of practice. You got to put that work in, and so, lo and behold, like I was pissed that I made the JV team again, but also too, I got to really get to know you, Walter, dudes in our class who had played freshman the year before, because I played, so I got to know you guys very well, and then also too, I was putting that thing up. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was putting that thing up.
Bro, listen, the first game we played against Vanille, right? And I swear to God, Derrick was out there like AI. He didn't see nobody. He was out there
Yeah,
gunning. He like, I'm gonna show y'all. And I remember we got
we got
smacked
some.
and you cussed us. all out on the bus. I was like, man, and we just be like, man, we don't care about no. Well, I didn't care
Yeah.
about no basketball at the time because I'm like, man, I ain't even grow. I'm cool, but you was like very passionate, bro. And I know you was hot though, bro. And honestly, bro, you should have probably made varsity for real.
It was
We didn't really need it, you know. But at the same time, though, bro, that was like me and Walter talk about that all the time, like how you just was gunning, like you was not passing that ball. Cause I know you like, man, I'm finna show them, like I don't need to be playing down here.
and two
So yeah, that was
and two also too, like it was a good opportunity for me to help lead as well. Because I learned like after a while, okay, me gunning all the time, that's not working. We're not winning games.
right.
Giving opportunities to Walter to run the team, and me kind of just I start getting a lot more because I it was my first time ever playing in the post. Like I never played any post. I played all perimeter stuff through Southside, all of that. I played through Southside seventh grade for sure. I know one game Evan got hurt, so he couldn't play for 2, 3 games. I was running point. So it gave me a good opportunity to kind of expand my game and go more in the post and also focus on offensive rebounds and, trust my teammates more. I think that was the big growth in that year, where I was able to, I was putting them up, but then also too, like deferring when I need to, let Walter bring the ball, like y'all, do your thing, let Danny do his thing as well, Melvin as well. Melvin, shout out to Melvin Collins. Haven't seen you in a while. But so yeah, it was just one of those things where I got to be a leader because I'd already played JV for Shilgan before, so I was able to kind of take a step back in a way where I want to be on varsity, but I gotta tone it back because we're trying to win games. Like came down to that. I think after accepting that role, we won more games, and so
Right. Did you play against North and Henry that year,
yeah. So
or was you on
no, I played it in the North game for sure.
in the North
Remember
game?
at North, but Henry, I
No,
don't.
it was no North was at
Yeah,
DeLaSalle
so I
because that's
got
when I
hurt.
tried to dunk on that boy.
I got hurt that game.
Okay.
So I got fractured my toe. I think that was the last 10 games
And,
of the season. I fractured my toe. We ended up actually still playing really well without me, and which was even more testament to how much talent we had during that time.
yeah. So you got hurt, right? So you injured your toe. You out for the season, right? So the year goes by. Let's just talk about like De La Salle. Talk about how funny it was being in the hallway and like how we used to be. I feel like we were some knuckleheads. Like, you got any funny stories from when you was at De La Salle that happened like in the classroom, or where it could be at any sporting event,
I really
or you were
did.
just straight to the books?
The funny thing. Well, I was pretty on top of my books like that. No, I was very
Yeah,
strict.
yeah, bro. You used to carry all your books, and I'd just be like, "This, I ain't carrying no books."
Yeah, bro. I don't know. I was just on top of it. But a funny story, bro. I think 10th grade year, bro. We had that history class with Sapansky, and I
Oh,
feel bad for him, like because I don't think we got anything done. He was such a nice dude, but strict, kind of in his own way.
bro, we did our
Yeah,
work, bro, but we knew
yeah.
when to clown and when not to.
That
Is
class.
that the time when he was you there when Tony got choked out by Mr. Gieske?
No, I wasn't there on that.
Oh man, that's another story. All right, cool.
Yeah, so we
Yeah,
had dudes clowning in that class, and I'm like, man, like we're clowning, we're supposed to get work done, but it ended up being fun. But that's probably the funnest time that I had in the class, and the funny times because there was a lot of jokes in that class. But for the most part, bro, the
right.
academics were second to none, excellent. So
Yeah, that school is like we have fun. Like we like the ins and outs. Like we know what to do, but academically it was hard when they told
yeah,
you like, oh yeah, you're gonna have 2 hours of homework. Like talk about that. Like it really was 2 freaking hours of homework every night. It was ridiculous. But I'm very grateful for that because it made college kind of easy for me. So like, just talk about that. Like I know how you were with your academics. I know you was up
yeah.
doing your work.
Shoot, because with them 6 8 practices that we had freshman and sophomore year, there was no choice. And my mom was a stickler for no books, no ball. Like there was no questions asked. Like so, right when I get home, I get right to the books. So and sometimes she would pick me up from home if pick me up from work because she worked at the University of Minnesota. So she would pick me up, or I would take the bus home. So once I got home, bro, I just locked in on the academics, and I was a good student, but like it was just I would say more of like the discipline. I was smart too, but it's just always some type of studying. When you're studying, doing a bunch of studying, it's like there's a bunch of information, so you're trying to sift through what information is going to be on the test. So I struggled in that area for a bit, but always had the work ethic to want good grades and get good grades, and I got good grades, but it was because of the work ethic for sure. So
So What was the decision to transfer? So you there at DeLaSalle for 2 years, and I know that decision wasn't easy for you, bro. Because like you said, you went to go play with your boys. You were playing with all your friends, and you know you built good relationships there. So what was that decision like to transfer out of DeLaSalle after your sophomore year?
Well, the main decision, well, it was a two-part thing, right? It was, being in a small environment. I wasn't used to being at the Catholic school, and it was a lot. You got people in your business all the time, and you got stuff going on. So I didn't know how to handle that as far as like emotionally. So I went through a lot my sophomore year. But also too, like my brother went there. He was a grade younger than me. He went there to De La Salle as well. So it was, my parents. We didn't get no tuition breaks or anything. So my parents are paying $14,000 for both of us to go to school, and my parents make good money, but that's $14,000 that be saved for college. So it was financially first and foremost. Secondly, like my dad was looking at it, he was like, after the year, was like, son, we gotta get you on the court. You gotta get experience. You gotta get tick some court time. So that was in my head too. But then I'm like, man, I want to stay with my boys. Like that was the main thing. That was probably the hardest thing because I wanted to stay with y'all, like building great relationships. Some of y'all since fifth grade, especially with you, bro. Like we were locked in. But then I started looking at it like, man, like Bryce had left. He moved to North Carolina. I know Muhammad went to Totino Grace. Jalen.
Jamie,
Yeah, so people were leaving, and it's like, people are doing what's best for them. So, I thought about the financial piece, financial burden on my parents, and I didn't want to keep that burden on them. My brother wasn't happy at De La Salle, so um, we ended up, I think during the year, we kind of talked about it in between during the year, and I went to a game at South, and I'm thinking, okay, like it's a public school, good academics. Um, Coach Heiser seems like he knows what he's doing. My dad knew him, and so he knew my family as well. So I was like, okay, shoot, we're going to South. Like, let's make it happen. And so it's funny because then, I played AAU for Howard Pulley, and I really should have really transferred to Bloomington Kennedy because my dad's coach, Al Nunes, his son was the head coach, Jared Nunes, who's now the coach at Baylor, had got the job at
mm.
Kennedy. But I had already committed non-verbally, but non-verbally and verbally. I got in the South and everything, so I, made that transition to South.
Kennedy would have been
Yeah,
dope. You would have
right.
been playing with D.
D
Murph.
Murph, yeah. Tim Brown is really good. A teammate of mine who played with Howard Pulley. He was really good. So
So you get to South, all right? So how was that? You go from the private Catholic, then you go to this public school, which I'm already know you familiar with public school, but
yeah,
it's different, bro. You ain't wearing uniforms no
yeah,
more, you know. And I'm sure like academically, it was a little bit different
yeah.
than how it would be yourself, and then obviously the culture. So talk about your experience there. Talk about and let me know how your basketball experience was there.
Okay. So in between, like basketball, I wasn't worried. Like I told you, I started figuring out that I need to work on my game. So that whole summer, AAU, I was working on my game like crazy, working a job and then working on my game, going to the gym, lifting weights, getting up shots. It was crazy. I would get off of work, ride my bike up to the park with my cones in my hand, my basketball in my backpack, and just lay down cones and start dribbling, pull up, jump shots, all of that. Because I was getting ready because I knew I had to play. I was going to play against them dogs over there at Washburn with Rasheed Hagman, Cedric Martin, Dylan Hale, who else? Noah Shepard, dudes like that. So I already
Henry,
yeah, Henry or Roosevelt was decent. So I knew how to get ready. But anyway, at South, so the transition was smooth. I think as far as the environment, it was a surprise. It was a surprise in a good way because South is in the hood. Like that's a hood environment over there. There's
right?
nothing really good about that environment with Corcoran Park over there. So I was initially kind of had my guard up, like kind of moving treading softly, let's say. But they had got all the riffraff out of South, and they had like a very good liberal arts program, which I was in. I was able to take college courses right away. Um, and then they had this open program that was cool. So it was a great environment, a mix of different kids, and everybody was cool with each other. All the upperclassmen were cool with each other. They got their little riffs out being underclassmen, and everybody was cool. So coming in as an athlete, it was like home. Like it was much like how it was at De La Salle, but bigger, And so I shadowed Victor Easter, who he was nice too. That's another kid that was really nice, played for Minneapolis Southside. Ended up finishing his career at Hamlin University. So I shadowed Victor, because I kind of knew him through hooping. He playing for the Hustlers. He played a bit for Southside for a little bit. I kind of felt like this is a good transition. Get into that athletic piece. I was in open gym doing my thing. A lot of people were like, "Who is this dude? This dude new, came from D. Who is it? Who is he?" So I wanted to show people like I'm not to be messed with. So I'm coming for a starting spot regardless. So
Right.
then that first little tidbit, I played football for that. The football wasn't as good as D. My position changed, so it kind of football was kind of over with for me. I played till my senior year, but that was a little over with. But basketball, no, it was. I started right away, so it was one of the things came. We had a decent talent. We had Big Zo in the middle, Victor at guard. I was at the three. We had Will Ferg, who was a rebounding machine at 6'2". This was crazy. He would always take charges, all that. Um, so we had a decent little group. It's just the continuity and discipline of being at D wasn't quite there. So we didn't win as many games as we should have. But we had a lot more. We had a lot of talent my junior year than my senior year, and so my senior year kind of just went into well. My dad coached our summer team, and so he coached our summer team. So we were gelling. So we were picked favored to be in the top half of that conference. I would say top three of the conference because we had played stuff in the summer. We had a really nice point guard and Sam and so Big Zo was in the middle as well. And then we had some little pieces. Carnell Shepard, who was a sophomore at the time, no freshman at the time, no sophomore at the time. He was a really good shooter. Ended up playing in Division 3 after high school, and so we gelled a lot because we had that summer continuity. And so to be a good high school team, a lot of high school teams around the area, mainly suburban teams, I remember we knocked off Osseo, which that was a big deal my senior year because the first year, my junior year, we got scraped by them. They had Aaron. Shout out to Aaron Anderson.
Shout out to Aaron, a dog.
Dog,
Oh my god.
dog, super dog. I know he just got done playing overseas, probably 3 years ago, but he was a dog playing in North Dakota. And then you have Big Zach, lefty. I forgot his last name, but he played at Gonzaga. And so,
Oh, that Dower kid,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
Sam Dower, I think, something like that.
Sam Dower,
Sam
yeah.
Dower, that was
He
his
was
name.
nice.
Yeah, they scraped us. So then on my senior year, all they had was Aaron. So it was just like we had some other pieces that ain't nobody know about. So we beat them at South by 4. It was a big deal because they were ranked in the state and everything. And then, we had started up and down a little bit. Then we played Johnson. And Johnson had Roosevelt Scott. Trying to think who else. They had
Tyler Eston.
Marcus Marshall, the light skinned dude. What was his
Tyler
name?
Eston.
Huh?
Tyler Eston.
Yeah, Tyler
Tyler
Eston.
Eston.
Who else? They were loaded. I think they
They
went
had a
32-0
squad.
that year.
They didn't lose a
They didn't
game
lose.
the whole year.
Nice.
Yeah, they were nice.
And
That's
brother,
probably one of the best teams ever.
and then you talk about okay, going back, St. Paul had some dogs too that we didn't even touch on. Jordan Jet, all dudes like Zach Lofton, all dudes like that. But anyway, Johnson
Hey,
was really nice.
Taylor Smaller.
Taylor
Taylor
Smaller,
Smaller was a
shout out to you,
dog.
Central High. St. Paul Central, I mean. And so, yeah, man, like we lost to Johnson by, and nobody knows this. Everybody thought, oh, they're, blowing everybody out. No, we lost to them by 5 at the crib. And we really had them the whole game because they're pressing. But we had our point guard, Sam Island. He had played against all them dudes he grew up in St. Paul and played against all them dudes. So he wasn't scared. So handling
Right.
the ball, like, it was whatever. So he's blowing past Eston, and we're in the game. I remember Zoe got a big dunk he dunked on, what's the kid from Johnson who played for Bemidji? I forgot his name. He was Maxie Rosenblum.
Maxie Rosenblum.
Dunked on
Yeah.
him nasty. I can still remember I was in the paint looking up because I kicked the ball to him, looked up, put it on his head. And so, yeah, my senior year, we should have did a lot better. We were in a hard section with we were in the hardest section in the state, and I don't know why they continue to do city teams like this, but they put us in there with Minnetonka, Hopkins, Wyzetta, all the big dogs, and we played. Actually, we did win our first section game. We got a good draw, and we played St. Louis Park, so we beat them at home in the first round. Second round, Hopkins, Joe Coleman,
Ah,
Marvin. Yanni Chambers. Then you had DJ Peterson. Forgot about him. He was another dog too. Um, so they had a squad, and we just didn't have anything for them. We thought we were ready, but we weren't ready for that stage. So
So in high school, what was that game where you was like, yeah, I got off on them? What team was that you played against? You was like, yeah,
Richfield,
that was my
Richfield.
Richfield. That was your best
That
game.
was my coming out. So man, I'll back up to my injury. But anyway, Richfield was the game. I had like a good dub on them, and that was my junior year. Yeah, my junior year we played at Richfield because that was a big rivalry. It was like South versus Richfield, and it was a rivalry because of the gangs. That's why it was a real rivalry because Ten's gang was out of our neighborhood,
Mm.
South, and Richfield had the blood, so that's why it became a rivalry. So every year, Richfield and South will play. That's a bad thing to say, but it is what it is. It was a rivalry because of that, and so that's why it was a big game. And so I had a good game, but we lost, so it didn't really matter. And like I said, that was my junior year. We had a great team, but we just couldn't. They had Bernard, no, not Bernard. They had Philip Freeman. He was really good, and they had man, I forgot that dude's name. He ended up playing football, but he was really good too. He ended up having
I know exactly who you talking about. He was super
yeah.
fast.
And he was around the inside, but he tried to guard me and he couldn't guard me. But I forgot his name. But anyway, he ended up having 42 the next game, I think, against Tartan, but he didn't have no 42 against me at all. I gave him a bucket. So yeah, like
Jeez.
that was a big game for me. But then, it was just a lot going on. I got injured after the first 10 games of my junior year, so that was pretty traumatic. I didn't know what to do because I really wanted to hurt. And I think that's another reason why we didn't win as many games my junior year as we should have. So,
What happened? Did you tear your ACL?
nah, bro, it was this rare knee injury, bro. Rare. Rare, rare. It was called osteochondritis dissecans. I'll never forget the name. And pretty much what it was, so it's funny because remember I told you I tried out for Holy Angels my 8th grade year, right? And
Yeah.
one of the coaches said, "Oh, he's running kind of funny." Being a player and being a competitor, you don't really think about injuries and all of that. Well, pretty much what it was, I had a big growth spurt from my 8th grade year to my 9th grade year, and I didn't get enough blood flow in that knee area. So pretty much the bone was just chipping off on my lateral side, chipping off,
Mm.
chipping off, chipping off. So by the time my junior year happened, and I actually kind of remember this during football, my knee was swollen up like a golf ball. But me,
Mm.
I thought you just put some ice on it, you good. Put a knee brace, you good. And so 10-year games going in my junior year, I remember during Christmas break we had a practice. I grabbed a rebound, came down, all those bones crunch. It hurt.
Mm.
So I was like, went home and I was like, Mom, we gotta get this checked. So I ended up getting an MRI. They couldn't tell what it was. They saw something in my MRI, but MRIs look at soft tissue and all of that, so they don't really cover the bone. So I got an X-ray, and they were like, "Boom, you have a fracture on your lateral side, which is lateral is on the outside." So it was like one of those things where the doctor was like, "Man, if you would have kept going, you would have had to have a knee replacement." So they grafted some of my shin bone to level off that area where I lost a lot of that bone, and so I pretty much had to regrow whole new bone in the area. So boom, like I'm
Mm.
rehabbing, doing all that stuff. And I'm doing some pool work, and I'm coming back fine. But I didn't come back. I came back that summer of my junior year, and so we're playing through. Then I remember we specifically played in the tournament. We ended up playing Tartan, and my dad he was coaching my summer team, but he was giving me sparing minutes where I played like the second half or first half of each game. And so I ended up playing in the second half against Tartan, and after that game, I went home and my left knee. So the first surgery was my right knee. My coming home, I started feeling a burn in my other knee. I'm like, this does not feel good. Like, and it was a burning sensation that it didn't feel right, and it started swelling up. So I'm like, gotta go in again. So I end up going in again to get it checked out. Boom, same injury on the same side, but luckily I caught it early enough where the bone was just hanging there. So what they did is
Mm.
I went into surgery and they just reattached the bone. 2 screws and 1 pin. In my right knee, it was three screws and 2 pins, something like that. So it was a traumatic experience because I've been hooping this whole time and didn't really get hurt like that. So it was
Right.
interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, injuries suck, man. It's like you be in a bad space. Like I know when I broke my foot, I was depressed
Yeah.
and I didn't know it. You don't really know until like you really reflect on it. So yeah. So then So did that affect your senior year?
Yeah, so bro, I was only able to play the last 10 games of my senior year. So I'm rehabbing the whole time. Ended up gaining a trainer, which was, his was through a connection. His stepson actually played on our football team. Remember Seth Johnson? Yeah,
Yes.
so his stepdad was a beast at D. Super beast. He played D1. Bro, this is the only white guy I ever know that had a 50-inch vertical. And I believe it. Because he was I think he was Mr. Tom Conroy. He was Mr. Basketball in, I want to say, 89. And so
Okay.
he was my trainer. And he gave me a good deal. And I tell you about my parents, like, I always had to work for everything I got. Like, even though my parents had good jobs and all of that, if I wanted to get something, I had to go get it myself. So I had a job throughout high school, and I'm paying for the trainer myself. So he's giving me a good deal knowing I'm a high school kid and I'm paying for it. So um, I was working out with him. Like, he got me right as far as strength in my quad, flexibility. I was pushing sleds with him, and so it really got in my mind that I got to stretch. I got to prepare my body to go into that. So the last 10 games of my senior year, long story short, wasn't the greatest because I wasn't 100%. I was probably about 75%. Still trying to get over that knee injury.
So I'm assuming that impacted recruiting. So obviously everybody wants the looks, everybody wants the offers, everybody wants to be seen, all this. That didn't happen for you. So was there any school that was looking at you despite your injuries, work? Like I know where you went, but could it have been anywhere else?
The crazy part, right?
So who was looking at you at the time?
Well, right before I got hurt, I started getting some letters. I remember I had to go to North Dakota Elite Camp because I started putting up numbers on the first 10 games of my junior year. I was starting to get some letters. I had another letter from UW Lacrosse, which is Division III. So those are two letters I remember. But other than that, because I missed AAU my junior and senior year, it was pretty much over with after that. I played AAU 15U and 16U, then I got hurt. So it was kind of one of those things like, this sucks, but I also found an avenue to try to do something different in a unique way. So,
Okay. So you end up walking on at Loyola. How did you come about with that? What was the connection with that?
man, so really what it was, bro, I'm a worker. After my senior year, I think a week after we lost to Hopkins, bro, I'm back in the gym working because I essentially
Working.
saved, even though I was injured, I still had some years on me because I didn't play that whole time. I didn't play the first 10 games of my senior year or the last 10 games of my junior year. So I had still had some time as far as like my body and everything. Boom, I'm working out in the gym after school, working out with Tom, working my job. And so I told myself wherever I'm gonna go, I'm gonna play. So I looked at um, just going to school at Iowa State, Marquette, Winona State, and then Loyola. Like they emailed my mom, and so I toured the school and toured all those schools, and Loyola was the one just because Chicago shy, summertime shy. You can't look past that. It's in the city. It's far enough away. It's away, but still close to home. At the end of the day, so I was still able to see my family, but I wanted to be in a big city, and so Loyola was a good middle ground as far as good academics, good community, great city. So I just told myself
And it
wherever.
was close to the crib.
He said, "What?"
And it was close to the
Yeah,
crib.
close to the crib. Like Chicago, 7 hours away, but still far enough, not within distance of my parents, and wanted to need to go home every 2 minutes. So that's how I came to. That's how I chose Loyola.
So when you got there, what's the walk on process? Because I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, do you just show up? Is it a tryout? And what's the process? Or do you email the coach? So how did you get on the squad?
man. So
Because you was on the squad.
really what it was, bro, is so my freshman year, they had a coach named Jim Weitzel, and so there was a guy on the team by the name of Jordan Hicks. Shout out to you. He went to Rochester Mayo from Minnesota. So I kind of remember him because he was class of '08 with like Jordan Taylor and all of them out of Minnesota. He was good, really good. Bouncy, 6'6", could shoot it, all of that. So I befriended him. We became real cool. And so, I started kind of working out with him a little bit. I kind of met the coaches. And so I did a tryout my first year my freshman year, and they already had their team. So I didn't make the team, even though I killed the tryout. Like I did really good. Didn't make the team. But then my sophomore year, I played intramurals, did really well in that. I'm still working on my game, still in my academics, all that. So I'm training myself like I'm on the team already when I really wasn't. So, I'm eating workouts in the fitness center, intramural. So it's kind of almost like I was playing for the team, but I wasn't. Sophomore year comes, boom. Loyola coach gets fired. Whitesell gets fired. Porter Moser comes into it. So it's a whole another thing. So I remember after that season that Jim Whitesell got fired, I started playing pickup with the guys on the team because I became cool with them. J.F. McCammon, he's
Right.
out of Illinois. Then you had Courtney Stanley, who was the starting point guard. He's out of Philly. He played with Malik Wayans, who played at Villanova.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I'm building that rapport with them, and I'm playing pickup with them because they need extra bodies. And so I just became real cool. And then I see Porter over there in the corner when he got hired, like watching us play pickup. And so I just pulled Porter off to the side and we talked. And I was like, hey, like, I really want to be on the team. Like, what do I got to do? And he was like, oh, we love walk on. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, he was saying it without saying it that I was on the team. And so um, I had a really burst of joy because it was cool to like get on the team in a non-conventional way.
Oh man, that's dope.
Yeah.
So you get on the team. You a Division I athlete now. How did that feel? Like you said, you had a burst of joy. Like, did you feel like you made it, or did you just like I'm trying to get to it?
I felt like in an instant, in a small segment, I did feel like I made it. But I knew there was a lot of work to be done. We know we lifted with our trainer all the time. Our trainer was really good. He had worked for the Minnesota Timberwolves by the name. His name was Dave Vitale. I think he's still at Loyola now. But he was a really good trainer. And then just knowing that I had to get to the gym and get up shots, it was just that same massaging that same muscle of putting in the work. And so, but what I didn't know about being a walk on is you're not being looked to play at all. Like you're just there essentially to get reps for the guys that are actually going to play. So, it's a real business when it comes to that because the coaches are investing their scholarship money in the guys that they choose, and they don't want to feel like they're wrong if that guy doesn't pan out to what they thought they're going to be. So, this is one of the things that's
Right.
crazy. Being a walk on is tough, man. Really tough.
So did you play any games your first year there?
Crazy part is, I got in the very first game we played at Champaign-Urbana, U of I, and U of I had
What's it called?
uh,
U of I? Oh, Indiana,
no Illinois.
Illinois. Oh, shit. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so they had the big monster inside. He played for the Portland Trailblazers. 7-footer, white guy. He looked like
Oh. I know what you're talking about. You played against
Myers Leonard.
he just got
Myers Leonard.
right. Yeah,
That's
he
his
got
name.
kicked out the league. Yeah. Oh wow.
So we got blown out that game. So I ended up getting in like the last 3-4 minutes. I got a shot, and I had my number like from high school. I had 25, which was great. And so
Right.
I ended up getting a couple. I went to the free throw line and hit 2 free throws. So that was a good experience. Like I got fouled because I went to the cup. I'm going to the cup. You play city ball, like you trying to get to the basket. I got fouled. So I ended up going to in that 50,000 arena. I'm at the free throw line. I see a bunch of orange in the background. When you're going from high school, there's a backdrop, there's a wall. Well, this ain't
Right.
have no wall. It was just arena and students behind it. So it was crazy, bro. Like that. I went from not thinking I'm gonna get in to getting in the very first game. Like that was not expected.
I bet she felt like, yeah, I'm finna get in every game.
Yeah,
It's
right.
gonna be like,
Yeah.
dude,
So, and then reality set in. Like, nope. We just got blown out that game. That was your chance, and it was kind of more like just practice. But with that, you know, what I should have did looking back is I should have put in a little bit more time in the gym to make those my own practices light practice, and then practice for the team the game. Because we're doing inter squad scrimmage and all that, and that should have been more of my game. I should have flipped my mindset, but it was just more of like it was depressing, feeling like I'm not going to play. I had great relationships with my teammates at Loyola. Like I had a good time. We played at venues like Michigan State. I remember we played there. They had Adrian Payne, Keith Appling. That squad was good. Like, and that was the like eye opener as far as like the environment, right? And so we played at USF, a tournament in Tampa Bay. That was another good step. And then when we got to my junior year, we moved to the Valley. And so that's when we're playing teams like Northern Iowa, Drake. At the time, Indiana State was really good. Um, Wichita State was in that league with, Ron Baker, Fred Van Vliet, Clay Anthony Early. They were really good. I think they came to our house and they were number one in the country at the time. We never really packed out gyms like that at Loyola, but the gym was packed that day. When we
Did
played,
they smack you?
no, I think they might have beat us by 15 or something. They didn't smack us, but they did. They beat us. So they beat us twice too. So
Was there any other game that you got in and had to get
the
your
only
stuff
other
in?
game that I can remember was Cleveland State my senior year. So it was pretty much my senior game. Um, that's the only other game I really remember getting in. But I got to be with some dogs on my Loyola team. Milton Doyle is he had a little stint in the G League. He played for the Brooklyn Nets. He's still playing overseas now. And so I really got entrenched in what it means to be at Division 1 athlete in the business and everything because it's a business, guys. So
No. Cool. So you played 3 years at Loyola. Obviously you said you didn't get that much tick. But you had the experience. But I know you were eager to play. So after you graduated, you still had 1 year eligibility. So what was that mind? What was your mindset after that? Like, did you feel like you still wanted to play? Like, what was you thinking? Like, I'm gonna wrap it up, or I'm gonna try something else. Like, what was you thinking at that
oh,
time?
absolutely. I'm a guy that it's never over till it's over, right? So I still have that year of eligibility. I ended up graduating from Loyola. I'm glad I got my degree from there to set me up for life. I wanted to be close to home. Originally, I wanted to transfer back to my dad's old stomping grounds, Augsburg, because I knew I was going to get some love there. But at the time, they weren't allowing grad transfers at the time, so it was crazy. Like it was crazy. It's much different than it is now. So I'm like, okay, what's the next option? Well, my uncles, the one that coached at Washburn, my uncle Louis, and then my uncle Calvin, they both played at St. Cloud State, and so I'm like, okay, they played with the coach out there. I forgot his name, but he was a legend up there. And so I'm like, okay, let me transfer to St. Cloud Division 2. That's still good. So the minute I try to transfer out there, coaches changed. So it was like,
Oh,
man, like I went there and I'm like, okay, but it's his assistant. So I'm thinking, okay, nothing much gonna change. Nah, it changed. And so he wanted to run things the way he wanted to run it, which was fine. But he told me I was gonna have a fighting chance to play and all of that, and it turned out not being that. And so I wasn't. I was upset at the time, but it was like I had to accept that this basketball thing has nothing to do about with you being good. It has everything to do with, are they investing in you? Are they investing in you? And so if they're not, it's kind of curtains.
so when you got up to St. Cloud, you played with Chucky
Yep.
Smith. Yeah.
Shout out to
So
Chucky.
talk about that. Yeah, shout out to Chucky, man. He was a
Yeah.
real sharpshooter, man. So I know that was probably good for you to have him up there with you, cause I know y'all shared this similar
Yeah.
experience up there.
Yeah, like
So
Chucky,
that's
it's funny with Chucky backstory. Like um he grew up around some of my extended family. So I kind of already seen Chucky growing up, and so it was cool to be close with him in a situation where he played a lot. He played a decent amount, but the coach was kind of at the time was kind of monkeying with his minutes too. So just really having that relationship, it kind of made the circumstance a little bit better. And mind you, at Loyola, we weren't winning like that. But at St. Cloud, like there was a little bit more of a winning mentality. And for them to lose, like for us to lose, I think we went 18-10, to lose 10 games and be on the cusp of making the playoffs was a big deal. And so I didn't understand that even at being at a Division 2 school, it was still a good experience, like basketball culture. But playing with Chucky was fun. Like we would do a lot of shooting drills together, and we would hang out outside. He wasn't my roommate at the time. I had a roommate that was from Milwaukee and another roommate from New York who I was really close with. We became really good friends, but the coach was treating them differently too. So as far as differently in a negative way. And so we were all kind of sharing that experience, like, yo, we're not really rocking with this coach, but we rock with each other. So it was
right.
kind of one of those things where we won, but we won it for ourselves. We didn't win it because of the coach. Win because of the coach. So
Okay. So you wrap up that season. I remember it's funny, bro, because I remember when y'all played at Concordia St. Paul and we came deep. And I'm looking like they better put my boy in. And
yeah.
they put my boy in. I was hot. And I think y'all got smacked
Yeah.
against Concordia. And I'm like, yeah, cause so yeah, something definitely was going on with that coach. But yeah, so you end up wrapping it up. You were in a master's program, right?
Yeah.
You said bump that master's
Yeah, it was. It
program.
was. I mean, I wasn't really, because I knew that school was good, but I just wanted to move on with life and start making money. So it was like more like, I was really doing that extra year because I thought I would have a shot to maybe get some film to go overseas. That was the real thing, real motive behind it. But it didn't shake out, which was fine. I learned a lot from the experience, and I'm actually grateful for the experience because it was hard. It was choppy, a lot of valleys, not a lot of peaks. But I I also learned and was able to, move on after college and be able to, share my experiences with the youth and everything. So
So people when people graduate from college or their sports careers are done, can you talk about like that mental block everybody has? Like if everybody has it, rather you say you moved on or not. You're so used to doing this every day, like or every fall or spring, whatever your sport is. Like you're used to being in this routine, and your identity is an athlete most times, right? Because that's what you've been doing. So talk about the transition, the life after basketball. I swear, for me, it was difficult
yeah,
because I'm just an athlete. I don't know what to do. I need structure. You know what I'm saying? And then not having that structure kind of like just had me like second guessing a lot of things. So talk about that life after basketball. How was that for you mentally, and how did you overcome that?
not gonna lie, it was tough, man. And it wasn't. It was tough because I've been through so much in my high school career and college career, as far as injuries, things not going my way. So I was kind of figuring out what's next. I moved back home for a stint of time. And so it was tough, like just trying to figure out, work some jobs. And I really wanted to, it's just like I wanted my basketball career. Some of the jobs that I worked, I really wanted to stay with the job, but it was like more of, they were giving me reasons why not to stay with that job. They were making it tough on me and all of that. So I really um, fell into, my dad got a head coaching job at Southwest. And so that was kind of like, it's kind of bouncing between jobs, but I still was involved with the game, but I was able to coach. And so I coached my a ninth grade team my year after St. Cloud. And so that ended up being just another way to tackle a routine. So, I knew how to skill develop and all that stuff as far as coming up with a practice plan, doing a routine every day as far as in practice. I knew my own routine, but I didn't know how to translate that to have players
And
work for you.
others,
Yeah, players work for you and have essentially guys working for you to get them better. Because Southwest at the time, was we're taking over a program that had been down for a long time. Like Southwest was looking at like the bottom. They're looking at the bottom for a long time, and so um, ended up coaching at Southwest for 6 seasons, and you coached over there too. Um, and
mhm. And hey man, coaching the youth is
yeah,
fun, man. Like especially when you got a good squad. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, and it just make you reflect on the times you had. Like, so let's talk about that. Like coaching, like obviously, like it was brand new for you. Like you said, your dad got the head coaching job. Did you think like, all right, I really want to do this, or it was just something that you was just like, I'm just gonna do it just because I got the chance, I can do it at this moment. Because you eventually stopped, right?
yeah. It was really, for me, like honestly, it was to help out my pops. Like I just really, I was really big on family and helping out my dad. So I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'll coach the ninth grade team. Then when I started coaching, I really started liking it. And it came to a point where there was some talent at Southwest. Like there really was. Like, and there was talent.
Facts.
There wasn't like they were bad because we just had nothing. There was some talent. And so just fostering that and building a program, I essentially took what I learned from Loyola and how to build a program from Coach Moser and all his tactics and kind of implemented that in practice. And so as I started getting better as a coach, I started going to coaches clinics, started, kind of I'm on YouTube looking at plays. I'm looking at how college is running their stuff. And really the coaches clinics, and shout out to Lamar Willis. He helped me a lot with becoming a better coach and, referee as well. We'll get into that. But, he really helped me develop a mindset of simplicity, but then also holding kids accountable. And also shout out to Jason Daisy as well. He's one of my life mentors. He helped me a bunch with the coaching and the winning mindset, but then also holding these kids accountable, because if you hold them accountable, they're gonna love you regardless. Even after they're done. playing. So it ended up being really fun, bro. I had a really good time with the 6 seasons, and we turned it around. Southwest during the time we started going to the middle of the conference, then the top tier of the conference. I want to say top three every year, and Southwest had never done that.
Yeah, so it's a game that I remember. Do you remember in 2016 when North came and they had like Tyler
Yeah,
Johnson? Who who else was it? The point guard, Pat Dimbley.
yeah.
They had some dogs on it.
They had the head Isaac Johnson, and then they had
Isaac
the
Johnson.
head coach at Henry's son. Forgot about
Yeah.
Jamil Jackson.
His last
That's his
name
name.
was
Yep, yep.
Jamil Jackson. And then they had a tough little point guard. What was his name? Oh my
Mario
God. It's
Sanders.
like Daquan Sanders or something
Yeah,
like that.
and then
They was tough, bro.
they had Big Odell in the middle too.
Odell Wilson, shout out to Odell, good kid. Man, I remember that game, bro. Somebody got boomed though. I think it was the first play of the game. Look, through that half court, Tyler Johnson was like, boom. They was throwing it off the backboard. I'm looking like, yeah, this is different. But you know me, a proud
Yeah.
Northsider. Like I'm Southwest, but I'm like, yeah. So like, just talk about some of them dudes, man. That team was loaded. It's a city league. It's athletes on every team. Whether the team is good or not. It's a lot of dudes that come through Minneapolis City Conference. So just talk about like some funny moments you had.
Probably that. I coach, this freshman in JV, and I think one of the funniest moments was, and this was probably year 4. We're playing against Henry, right? And Henry's coming in. Henry is known for playing some of their older guys in the JV. Whether that's legal, I plead the fifth on that. They're dunking in warm ups. Hey, hey, hey. My guys are doing basic fundamental layups, all the stuff that we talk about. Then in the game, what they didn't know is we know how to break a press. Like I worked with them because that was the biggest thing is press Southwest. They're going to turn the ball over. They're going to give it to you. They're scared, all of that. We had worked on press break and actually a drill that I took from Coach Shilgan. Shout out to you. Doing a 6-on-5 where you have 6 on defense, 5 on offense, and you can't dribble. You have to pass the ball through and you're working on passing and cutting and all that. So we had worked on that. But when I tell you they were not expecting to be down 18 with 15 minutes left to go in the game, they were not expecting that because we're passing through the press. And then the kids at Southwest, they can shoot. So we were working on shooting every day, ball handling, so they weren't scared. And so that was the funniest thing there because we ended up beating them by like 10, and they weren't expecting to lose that game. And then another instance, I think that same season, we played Minnetonka at home. And I learned from Lamar that, you, against the suburban teams, you try to make them play one-on-one. And so we out the gate, we pressing, 1-2-2 full court. Then we do a half court trap. So they're trying to run their plays or whatever. And during the plays, I'm calling out, "Hey, go double, go trap." It disrupts them because they're robots in their offense. So it was funny because their coach got so mad. We ended up getting them. We were getting up 25, 25-ish, 20 in that instance, and their coach tried to press us back. And little does he know, we work on pressing every day, so that's not going to work. So they started pressing us. We're shooting layup, layup, layup. Yeah, I think that we ended up winning by 15. So that was one of the fun times coaching because that group that I had, I wasn't expecting to win very many games, but I had shooters, I had discipline. They were tough. They listened. And so it was very fun coaching over there. And my last little story is my last year coaching over there, having that team where, shout out to Liam Vernon. Liam was a top scorer at Southwest, just became the leading scorer last year. Um, we won city that year. He was a freshman on JV and shooter. I could see that from his 7th grade year when he was coming to our camps.
Yeah, we was a dog,
Bro,
bro.
I used to draw plays for him against North and Henry, and we just knocked that thing down. And there was one time against North to win my very last game. Coach, he's sneaky athletic too. Like he ran this kid down and blocked his layup off the glass. And I'm like, it was so surprising. I'd never seen Liam do that before. I just had a lot of fun coaching, and I got better. It was kind of a way that exercise being an athlete, right? You have to get better as a coach each year. You have to go to coaches clinics. You have to kind of tap in with what the higher levels are doing and bring it down to college. And that's essentially what I did, and it was fun.
Yeah. So you get done with basketball. Now you said, "Hey, I'm finna try this reffing thing." And like, it's funny, bro, because I've watched you like climb the ranks of reffing. So one, two-part question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. One, how did you get into reffing? And two, you move. What are you doing now with reffing?
So, how I got into reffing initially was coaching, right? And so we played in a tournament.
You was trying to get some money.
Well, no, a little there was that too, but I was trying to become a better coach. So a way for me to become a better coach is obviously know the rules. And so how you gonna know the rules? Well, you got a referee to know that. And I think your cousin Brick McNeil broke that down to me. Like he was like, hey, like you know the rules, so now you can apply that to coaching and kind of manipulate the game within the game. And so I'm always trying to gain an advantage some type of way. So if I know how the refs are calling the game and I know the rules, I can put kids in the position to be successful because I know the rules. And so initially that's what it was. It was the spirit of trying to become a better coach in all different facets. So refereeing ended up being a way that I could learn how to put kids in those positions and also, make some type of money. But then also, too, reffing all those games on the weekends because I was coaching during the week, had my full time job, and reffing on the weekends during the season. So it was a lot, bro. It was a lot. During the off season, I just referee every weekend because it became fun. I was still a part of the game, even though I wasn't playing anymore. I was still a part of the game. But fast forward to now, I was able to move down here to Dallas and my referee career just took off. And it took off from I joined a chapter out here. They have associations in Minnesota, but I joined a chapter out here. The basketball is high level, like very high level. You're going out to some of these high schools, bro, and they're like small arenas, small college arenas. Like their
Yeah,
seating.
you showed me one the other day.
Bro, the athletics out here in Texas are crazy, crazy. And so, um, I'm reffing or whatever, and I'm thinking, okay, I went to coaches clinics as a coach. There's got to be some type of thing that I can do to get better at refereeing because I'm still a part of the game, but I don't have to coach. I don't have to spend that much time as a coach and a player, and I can still get the same workout, all of that. And so I asked a couple friends that I joined a referee. I joined that chapter. I was reffing every weekend, started making friends out here, and then I joined a ref group, met some people, and they were telling me some camps to go to. And I'm going to these, and these are learning camps to become a better referee, much like a coach's clinic or any type of camp that you go to get better at your craft. So I'm going to these reffing camps put on by NBA officials for very cheap, $150. And most hiring camps are $500 to go to try to get hired in whatever level you're trying to work. I mean, mainly college. So, bro, I'm getting nuggets like how to positioning, how to play call, how to position yourself, moving from, um, lead on each side. There's a lot of terminology here, but I'm learning getting nuggets and how to get angles so I can see fouls and all of that. So, I take what I learned from that first camp that I went to in Houston, put on by the NBA official. Next year, I'm getting more varsity games, like higher level varsity games. And, out here in Texas, they have up to 6A. So I'm getting 5A and 6A games that next year at big schools. And so I'm like, dang, like I'm getting better. And the next summer, what do you think I did? I went back to that same camp in Houston, and then I went to another camp put on by an NBA official who works deep into the playoffs. His name is Courtney Kirkland. He refs Boston. He's done conference championships games in the NBA and everything. Went to his camp. We worked NBA two man. Boy, when I tell you, I ran so much that weekend, we were wore out. But we're getting all this information about because varsity on up is three-man mechanics. So there's meaning there's three referees out there, and they're all in different positions. So I'm learning angles and positioning, but and also each of those three refs have primary coverage areas that they cover. So they pretty much split the court off in the thirds. And so I'm able to referee that NBA two man in that camp, but it's expanding my knowledge to become a better three-man referee. And so looking at off-ball contact, all of that, I'm speaking a lot of terminology, but it just helped. I just got so much better after that camp in Atlanta. And then on top of that, I met my mentor. My mentor is a Division I ref in the SEC consortium. And SEC essentially has like Conference USA, American Conference. So all those conferences it's a consortium, it's an umbrella pretty much. So the SEC's up here, and all the other smaller conferences are umbrellas under that umbrella of the SEC. So my mentors work in Division I already. So instantly, after that next summer, bro, took off. Like again, I'm reffing high level high school. Then he's preparing me to get ready to go to a hiring camp to get hired into what I currently work now. Is I work junior college and high school as well, but junior college. He's preparing me to get to this camp, so I go to this hiring camp. Got picked up instantly, meaning got hired, and so
Dope.
and that's part of the reason why my face is shaded. I actually had a JUCO game today, and so I'm working these high level, these Division I JUCO games, and there's Division I athletes, and even the Division III game that I had to get for JUCO was really good, like above the rim play, everything. So, um, long story short, it didn't work out for my playing career, but it made it that those hard times that I went through as a player made all the politics and everything for refereeing that much easier because I'm being put in position by my mentor to have a slow, easy journey to try to get to Division I because that's my goal is Division I basketball. Get back to that
Yeah,
stage.
that's what I was gonna ask. That's what I was gonna ask you. Like, is your goal to make wrestling a career?
I mean, I don't know because my job that I have right now is really good. But man, if they want to give me 40, 50 games in Division I, they're common checks for the next.
So, how much do they make per game? I know we talked about it, but tell the people how much Division I high level refs make per game.
Y'all's jaw is gonna drop when I tell you this. So the lower level Division I, they make 1,800. So if you're referring schools like Prairie View, A&M, in the SWAC conference is what they call it, they make 1,800 a game, and that's only going up. High level Division I, like your Kentucky, Dukes, Auburn's, all of that, you're making $4,000 a game. So do the math. So, like there was a guy who worked 30 days straight in Division I, made 100 grand. So
And one,
yeah,
that's
in
crazy.
30
Oh
days.
my
And so
god.
it's crazy that, yeah, playing didn't work out for me. Perfectly fine. But being a player, being a coach, and understanding both spectrums has allowed me to be a better communicator, manage the grays. Because black and white, your fouls, violations, out of bounds, all of that. That's the black and white. Anybody can go out there and blow a whistle. Are you able to manage the grays? Meaning dead ball, players are crossing each other. Are players going to throw a little elbow? Are they going to do that little chippy stuff? Are you able to communicate with coaches? That's the big thing. Because at Division I, a lot of those guys they're good, but the reason why they're still consistently working those games is because they're able to communicate. Because you're a game and a referee as a referee, you're a game manager. So you got to manage all that stuff, and I have actually picked up another mentor who works in the SEC consortium as well, who actually worked pro in G League, and he told me the black and white is cool, but the grays are what gets you paid. So I'm learning all of this stuff, and it's been an easy transition to refereeing because I went through all that hard stuff as a player, and so I understand the politics behind it. But I've been positioned in a way where I'm having fun. I'm having so much fun refereeing these games. I'll go out to little um, hold on little colleges and reffing, but then I switch chapters now. I'm reffing more of the city ball here in Dallas, and they had this school that I showed you that YouTube video. They had a kid that's going to Vanderbilt next year, and so I'm reffing dudes like that. And you got your Duncanvilles with Anthony Black, Ron Holland. Who Anthony Black's on the Magic right now, and then you got Ron Holland who is on Detroit Pistons right now. And so I'm refereeing those type of dudes. These are pros, and so it's been super fun. Been having a good time.
That's what's up, man. Very happy for you. So, I guess my last question. So if you could just leave the people with any type of inspiration based on like what you were saying, though your sports career didn't work out, um, just give me a good give me something the inspirational to tell the people.
To the people, if things are not working out for you, they're working out for you. Let me reiterate that. If things that you want aren't working out for you, they're working out for you. Meaning another one door can close, another one can open. So just accept maybe it's not working out. I'm not saying quit. Come up with an
Right,
accepting mindset like, okay, it's not working out right now. But that doesn't mean it can't work out for you later, and God's gonna give you, or whatever higher power you believe in is gonna give you something so much greater. And so, playing is a small window, right? But I think
right,
the thing that I got from my situation was I was able to build relationships with great kids, still referee the game be a part of the game, but not be a part of the game, if you get what I'm saying. Like I'm still a part of it in a certain way, but it's a way that's more efficient where I could just blow the whistle for 2 hours and be done. But I still have enough. I still put in film work every day. I still stretch a lot. I still have to prepare my body to go out there and run these because these kids are fast nowadays and they're only getting younger. And so when things don't work out for you, they're working out for you.
That's what's up. So yeah, I want to give you your flowers, man. Obviously we've been knowing each other for a long time. I feel like we're best
Yeah,
friends.
for sure.
I only got a couple friends that I consider that. Obviously you're one of them, and I just want to tell you, bro. Like, despite all that stuff that happened with your sports career, life, you always continue to just elevate yourself. You had your struggles, but back to what you were saying, don't let whatever happened to you be what happened to you. Just keep
Mhm.
going. And you always been going. Been there. I've been here for the ride. And that's what you say. You're loyal. One of the most loyal dudes I know. And just keep going, bro. I know for a fact I'm gonna see you either in an SEC game or NBA game because I know like, you're passionate. Once you want something, you don't stop. You're gonna try to get it the best way you can. Okay, so I just want to give you your flowers with that, and you my dog, man. It's love that got you. I got this podcast. I'm trying to get these real stories out. I'm happy you blessed me. You're the first basketball player to get on the pod, man. Hopefully we could do some more. We ain't gotta talk about sports. We could talk about something else, man. Again, bro, you're my brother. Shout out to your parents too, man. I want to shout out them because, like, I didn't grow up with my siblings, grew up with my grandparents, so I always tell my friends, like my friends are my siblings, you know what I'm saying? Then their parents become my parents, and your parents are a big part of my life. They have done things that people don't even know, like what they done for me. And I look at them as my parents as well. So shout out to them, Mr. Boone, Miss Boone. You got a great family, man, and you came from a great family. I love y'all, my family love y'all, man. So I really appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being on the podcast. We're definitely gonna do it again. So yeah, man, we're gonna wrap it up.
See you,
All
bro.
right, love.